Chris is going to be my victim. Come on up. We're going to make the assumption right now that I've already made the approach. So this is a meeting that we're having in the gentleman's person's home. So we're not going to have to really do, any of the approach and stuff like that. We're going to pretty much get right into the actual presentation. Okay? So this is at the kitchen table. All right. So Chris, as I said before, combined insurance is like a two-part program. We're the people that are going to put money in your pocket when you need it the most. Okay? In case of emergency, if you get hurt, you get sick, you get paid. It's as simple as that. Now we do that with two ways. There's a hospital end and there's a disability end. I believe we're going to walk before we run. So right now today we're going to talk about the accident and the sickness coverage. Okay, that's part of the hospital part. Now, the hospital part is really a two-part program in itself. There's an accident and sickness program, and there's an accident program. Now, the accident and sickness program will cover you for any accident or any sickness. Underline the word any. Okay? And the accident policy is a rider that goes on top of that. And the beauty of it, it's like good, better, and best. Right? The accident policy, which is available by itself, is good. The accident and sickness policy is actually better because it's going to cover you for accidents and sicknesses. And to have them both is what's best because you know what? If you do get hurt, you're going to double dip. You're going to get paid on both because all of our products, all across the line, are all designed to pay on top of each other. Sound good so far?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Okay. Now, let's talk about getting sick. Right? So it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're running 102 fever. You're throwing up your shoes, and you decide to run to the emergency room. We're going to pay you $200 for that. Just to go to the emergency room. Put your big toe in the emergency room door, it's $200. Now, it's not so bad. It's not really, by the way, let me get this going. Normally I would do this, I have it memorized, so I'd be pointing to the iPad. So you run to the emergency room. It's not something really that serious or anything like that, but you know what? We're going to keep you in the hospital overnight for a couple days, fill you up with fluids, get you on your feet, whatever, it's the flu. Okay? We're going to pay you $165 a day every day you're in the hospital. Now that is an unlimited benefit. That's $4,700 a month, and every penny that combined insurance pays you is tax-free, non-reportable income. So that's in your pocket. But let's say you have to have a surgery. Now, we do outpatient surgery. That means if you're in and out of the hospital the same day. There's a major surgery benefit and a minor surgery benefit. The difference between a major and a minor is not what they do, where they do it. So if it's in the hospital operating room or an ambulatory surgery center, we're going to pay $1,000 for that. If it's in the doctor's office or the emergency room, it's $100. Now, a major surgery, that could be an appendectomy scheduled, a tonsillectomy scheduled. God forbid your wife needs a hysterectomy. As long as you're in and out of the hospital the same day, you're going to get paid for that. A minor surgery, that's a boil being lanced. That's a stitch. That's a mole being removed. And it's even oral surgery. As a matter of fact, last week, my own self personally, I had 2 extractions done, and I got paid for them. Pretty good, right? And it made the pain of going to the dentist a whole lot easier to handle. Okay? Now, the important money on this policy, though, when I say important money for you and me, I know you're in construction, okay? So it's the intensive care benefit. And to me, that's the important benefit. Think about it. This policy, if God forbid you are treated in the intensive care, we're going to pay you $1,250 per day, and that's going to be in addition to the $165 for being in the hospital. That means that any day that you're in the intensive care unit, you're going to be getting $1,415 per day, and that's an unlimited benefit. If you have a heart attack, you're 40-something, and if you have a heart attack that happened, you could be in the intensive care 3 weeks. It's ICU, CCU, or intensive care. 3 weeks. And at $1,415 a day, that's going to keep food on the table. That's going to keep a roof over your head. That's going to keep things functioning. Just checking along. You don't have to worry. The beauty about that is you don't have to worry. Now, the other part of the policy, if God forbid you had only this part of the policy, you get paid those benefits for any accident or any sickness, as I said before. Underline the word any. But if you have the accident policy rider, this policy is going to add a whole lot more, and you get paid a whole lot more. So now the accident policy starts with a ride to the hospital in an ambulance. Take an ambulance ride to the hospital and pay $100. The ambulance is going to take you to the emergency room. Okay? You put your big toe in the emergency room door, that policy is going to pay you $100. Now, by the way, if you need to be airlifted to the hospital, we're going to pay you $500. And your health insurance, you got to keep this in mind. Your health insurance pays the doctors. Your health insurance pays the hospital. This pays you. Okay? So, ambulance ride to the hospital, $100. Put your big toe in the emergency room door, another $100. And whenever you ever been in the hospital when you're hurt, they always say, go see your doctor the next day. Well, we're going to give you 4 follow-up visits to your own doctor, $25 a visit. That's another $100. On top. I'll get to that in a moment. Now, anytime you go to the emergency room, we're going to give 4 follow-up visits. That's another $100. If you slip and fall, if you twist your ankle, any crutches, walk, or wheelchair, anything to help you get around mobility-wise, they call that an appliance. You're going to give $100 for that. You're married, right? Your wife gets mad at you one day, takes a baseball bat to the back of your head and gives you a concussion, we're going to pay you $100 for that. Okay? Now, if you break any bone in your body, okay, we'll pay you except for your fingers or your toes. We're going to pay you $1,000. And if you do break your nose, your toes, your fingers, or even just crack a tooth, we're going to pay you $250. Now, if you get hurt so bad that you have to be admitted to the hospital overnight, this policy will pay you $150 a day. Now that's $4,500 a month. And that's an unlimited pay. And on top of that, for every day that you're in the hospital, we're going to give you $100 a day for up to an equal number of days. You just stay home and get better. That means, in effect, you're getting $250 a day every day you're in the hospital. Chris, that's $7,500 in your pocket. Tax free. Now, if you got hurt that bad, you obviously hadn't been treated in the ICU. Hadn't been a bad accident. On the first day, this policy will pay you $5,000. It's a tremendous amount of money. If you need an outpatient surgery, it's the same deal. Major and minor. Major is in the hospital operating room, ambulatory surgery center. Minor is in the doctor's office, ER. So if you have a surgery, major surgery, knee surgery, back surgery, as long as you're in and out of the hospital the same day, they're going to pay you another $1,000. And if you just cut your finger and you needed a stitch, and I always do this, take the pen out and I draw on my little pinky. My pen's not working, but if you cut your finger and you need a stitch, that stitch is $250. As a matter of fact, if you go to the emergency room, there's $100 there, and there's always one trip to the doctor. So that stitch is going to pay you $375. Pretty amazing, right? If you need physical therapy, we're going to pay you $250 for physical therapy. It's 10 visits at $25 a visit. You know, Chris, most people stop going for physical therapy because they don't want to pay the copay. Average copay is about $25, so you know you're going to get at least 10 visits. Sound good? Okay. You know, every person covered under this policy is going to get back $50 a year just to go for a health screening. There's a list of about a dozen or so tests that they pay for, blood tests. You know, anything in the gynecologist's office for your wife. You're about at the age where you're going to start getting your PSA test, blood test, cholesterol test, any of those things. I'll leave you the list of all the tests before I leave. You get paid $50 for that. And you have 3 kids, right?
Yes.
So that means potentially every year, even if nobody gets hurt, we're going to pay you back $250 a year. That effectively lowers the cost of the policy for you, doesn't it? Sounds good, right? Now, if you need blood or plasma, it's $150. Okay. There's one of my favorite benefits for you, especially as a married person, is something called the family lodging benefit. Now, if you're 100 miles away from home and you have an accident, we're already paying you on that policy $250 a day. We're going to add $100 a day. So if you're in the hospital, your wife can stay in a hotel near the hospital. You don't have to be alone, and she doesn't have to sleep in the chair next to the bed. They'll put her up for a month. Potentially, that's $3,000 right there. Okay? We have a transportation benefit. Basically, it's this. Okay? Doesn't happen too often, but if you need to be transported 100 miles or more for medically necessary treatment, we're going to pay you $300 3 times per accident. It's a $900 benefit. Last but not least, it has a little bit of life insurance included. It's accidental death. Okay? So it's not going to pay you to die of a heart attack. But if you do, have your wife go to the bottom of the stairs, make it look good. Okay? But it will only pay you if you die in an accident. And that's any accident. I don't care what it is. It could be a car accident, you could get eaten by jaws, you get hit by a meteor, I don't care. As long as it's an accident, we'll pay. Well, you're not getting anything, you're dead. Okay? But we're going to pay your beneficiary $25,000. If you're really not lucky, and you die in a plane crash, a train wreck, a bus accident, they used to call it travel insurance a long time ago. Now they have a fancy name for it. It's called common carrier. And that just means as long as you're a fair paying passenger on a regularly scheduled conveyance, we will, and you die in an accident like that, we'll pay your beneficiary $100,000. If you have a dismemberment, a single dismemberment, you lose an arm, a leg, an eye as a result of an accident, we'll pay you $10,000. And a double dismemberment is $25,000, the same as the death benefit. But you do have to mail us in the body part so we know it's legitimate. Okay? All right. Now, I was saying before, it's like good, better, and best. Now, the reason why it's best is because if you get hurt and you have both policies, you double dip and you get paid on both policies. So, right away, go to the emergency room. The accident and sickness policy is paying you $200. The accident policy is paying you $100. You're getting $300 just to put your big toe in the emergency room. Okay? If they keep you overnight in the hospital, now you're getting $315 a day every day you're in the hospital. That's over $9,000 a month, and then add the $100 recovery benefit to that, you're looking at $12,000 a month. Tax-free dough in your pocket. Nobody can tell you how to spend it. It's your money. If you need an outpatient surgery, all right, after Hurricane Sandy, I got hurt. Well, I'm kind of an idiot too. A tree went down in my yard, and I chopped it up, and I was safe with that. But my girlfriend was watching me from the window, and I decided to be Hercules and pick up the trunk of the tree. I got hurt so bad I got a hernia. And what you do for love, right? Anyway, to make a long story short, I got paid $2,000 for that. Okay? And you remember the stitch I was showing you before? Now it's added up. $300 for the emergency room, $250 for the stitch on one policy, $100 for the stitch on the other policy, and at least one trip to the doctor to get that stitch looked at. That stitch is $675 for a stitch. It's amazing. But God forbid you get hit very, very bad. Follow what happens. Okay? The first day, the accident policy is paying you $5,000. The first day, the accident and sickness policy is paying you $1,250. Plus the ambulance ride, plus the emergency room, plus whatever the heck else happened to you. That means we're going to write you a check for something in the order of $7,000 and $8,000 the first day. But every day that you remain in the ICU, when you add it all up, it comes out to $1,765 per day. You're in construction, man. You get hurt bad, who's going to take care of your family? I had a customer recently, had a very bad motorcycle accident. I ride a motorcycle too, we're all nuts. But he had a bad motorcycle accident. He ended up in a coma in the intensive care unit for a month. And then was 2 months more before they let him out of the hospital. Do the math. $1,765 per day for 30 days. And then 60 days at $415 a day. Don't forget. $300, $165, $150, and $100 recovery benefit. He collected well over $80,000 on this policy. Huge, huge, huge amount of money. The bottom line is this, Chris. If you get hurt, if you get sick, if your children get hurt, think about that. You're going to take time off from work to be with them. Your job's not going to pay you if your kids get sick. They're going to pay you only if you get sick. Your wife gets sick, it's going to take time off from work. So, who's your beneficiary going to be? I assume it's your wife, right? Okay, let me get you started with this right now. Like I said, I kind of cut it down a little bit because it goes longer than that, but it's the way I do it. It works for me, okay? My friend John Hammond, okay, was my mentor, and he helped me a lot. And he said something that I think was very, very, very important, and I'm just going to say this one thing. When you do a presentation, you have a choice. You're painting a picture. You can give them a stick figure, or you can give them the Mona Lisa. Okay? Make it come alive. Make it real. Okay, thank you very much. Hope you enjoy it.